My name is Arden Cole, 31 years old. I worked as a software architect in Austin, and I owned 25% of a startup that was finally starting to feel like the payoff to every sleepless night I'd had since I was 16. I had built my life line by line of code, promotion by promotion, saying yes to every hard thing no one else wanted to do. I was proud of what I had. I earned it. My family was a different story. There was my dad, my mom, and my younger brother, Jake, who was 23. Growing up, things were okay, or at least I thought they were, until Jake was born. I was 8 years old when he came along, and that was when everything shifted, like somebody reached into our house and tilted the floor a few degrees in his direction. My parents just stopped seeing me. Before Jake, my report cards went on the fridge. My drawings got stuck to the wall. After Jake, my achievements moved to a drawer somewhere, and his existence became the center of their universe. I still remember the first time I felt that invisible punch. I was 8, clutching a spelling bee ribbon, waiting for my dad to come home. He walked in carrying Jake on his hip, half his shirt covered in baby spit up. I held up the ribbon, beaming. "That's great, honey," he said, not even looking at it. "Can you grab the diaper bag? Your brother had a big day." Jake got everything. When he wanted to go to football camp, they sent him. When he turned 16, they bought him a brand new BMW with a red bow on top, the kind you see in car commercials I used to mute. They got him an apartment near the university and paid his rent even after he dropped out freshman year to figure himself out. Me? I started working after school at 16 just to buy myself a used Honda with a broken air conditioner and a dented fender. I got into Stanford on a full scholarship because there was no way my parents were going to pay for it. I worked part-time through college to cover textbooks and everything else I needed. I never complained to them about it. I just put my head down and worked, and it paid off. On paper, at least. 3 years ago, I bought a house in a nice area with a view of the lake. It was mine. My name on the deed. My money in the down payment. I remember standing in the empty living room the day I got the keys, light streaming across bare floors, thinking, no one can take this away from me. I gave my parents a spare key to the house. It was supposed to be for emergencies, and so they could water my orchids when I was traveling for work or taking a vacation. I had a collection of orchids that I really loved, fragile things that somehow liked me enough to bloom, and my mom had offered to take care of them. "I used to have orchids when I was your age," she'd said, smiling in that soft way I hadn't seen in years. "It'll be nice, like I'm helping." I thought it was a nice gesture, something that might bring us closer. Maybe this was how we mended things, through small, practical kindness. That was stupid of me. 6 months ago, I came back from a conference in Japan. I was jet-lagged, suitcase in one hand, laptop bag digging into my shoulder, already fantasizing about a shower and my own bed. I opened my front door and stopped. Empty beer bottles everywhere, red cups tipped over on the floor, the sour smell of stale alcohol and something fried that hadn't been taken out yet. There was a stain on my living room carpet the size of a small country. One of my orchids was knocked over, pot shattered, roots exposed and snapped. Another had its blooms broken off, petals smashed into the hardwood like confetti someone forgot to sweep. It was like walking into a stranger's house. My heart started pounding. I dropped my suitcase and went room to room. More mess, more trash. Someone had left a pair of heels in the hallway, a jacket I didn't recognize thrown over a chair. I grabbed my phone and called my mom. "Hey, honey," she answered, cheerful, like she hadn't thrown a frat party at my house. "What did you do?" I said. My voice was shaking. "What did you do to my house?" There was a pause. "Oh, you're back already?" "Yes, I'm back already. There are beer bottles everywhere. The carpet's stained. One of my orchids is broken." She sighed, annoyed, like I was being dramatic. "Oh, Arden, don't make such a big deal out of it. We had a few people over for Jake. He had a tough month and we thought he could use a party." "At my house? Without asking me?" "You weren't using it," she said, like it was obvious. "You were in Japan. It was just one night. Carpets can be cleaned. Plants can be replaced." "Mom, they were mine," my voice cracked. "You didn't even tell me." "We're family," she said, like that explained everything. "We share. Stop being so selfish. You should be happy we thought of using your place. It means we feel close to you." We had a huge fight. She acted like I was being unreasonable, like I was the one crossing a line. Eventually, because they were my family, and that's what you're supposed to do, right? I forgave them. I paid to clean the carpets. I tried to coax the surviving orchids back from the edge. I told myself to let it go. But I also installed a video surveillance system. I did not tell anyone about it. Not my parents, not Jake, not anyone. Cameras at the front door, living room, kitchen. Nothing crazy. No hidden microphones or spy movie nonsense. Just enough to see who came in and out and what they did when they thought I wasn't looking. I just want to know, I told myself as I set it up, fingers tight around the screws. If it ever happens again, I want to know. Fast forward to last Tuesday. I was sitting at my desk at work, reviewing some code, half listening to my team argue about implementation details when I got a notification on my phone. Motion sensors triggered at home. I figured it was probably a delivery or a squirrel being fat and curious on the porch, but I opened the app anyway. What I saw made my blood run cold. My parents were in my house. My dad was measuring the walls of my living room with a tape measure. My mom was standing next to him, typing notes into her phone. Jake was sprawled out on my couch like he owned the place, shoes on the cushions. I turned up the volume on my phone, and the sounds of my own living room filled my office. "This wall is 14 feet, my dad said, reading the tape. My mom typed something. "That'll be plenty of room for his TV and the gaming setup." "This place is perfect," Jake said from the couch. "Way better than my current dump. I can't believe Arden's been hoarding all this space for herself." My dad chuckled. "Well, she won't be hoarding it much longer." My mom walked over to the window, looking out at the lake like she was inspecting a property listing. "We'll move your stuff in when she goes to Denver next month. Once everything is here, she won't make a scene. She'll just accept it." "Are you sure?" Jake asked. She was pretty pissed about the party. My mom waved her hand dismissively. "She got over it. She always does. Arden is not the type to cause family drama. She'll complain for a day or two, and then she'll let it go." My dad nodded. "Your mother's right. Besides, once your things are in the house, what is she going to do? Throw her own brother out on the street? She's not that cold." Jake grinned. "I knew you guys would come through. This is going to be great." I sat there at my desk, staring at my phone, shaking with rage. They were planning to move Jake into my house without asking me. They were going to do it while I was out of town, so I couldn't stop them. And they genuinely believed I would just roll over and accept it. I thought about all the years I spent being invisible, all the times Jake got whatever he wanted while I had to fight for every scrap, all the money they poured into him while I worked myself to exhaustion. And now they wanted my house. I closed the app and sat back in my chair. My hands were shaking, but my mind was crystal clear. I was not going to let this happen. I was not going to roll over. I was not going to be invisible anymore. I opened my messages and texted Jake. "Hey, want to come over for dinner on Saturday? I was thinking we could do a family thing. You, me, Mom, and Dad. It's been a while." He responded almost immediately. "Sure, sounds good." I put my phone down. I had 4 days to get ready. The moment Jake texted back, "Sure, sounds good," the clock inside my head started ticking. 4 days. 4 days to gather every receipt, every record, every forgotten message they assumed I'd never look at again. 4 days to turn decades of being overlooked into one night they would never forget. I started that same evening. I pulled my laptop onto the dining table, opened a fresh spreadsheet, and brought up 6 years of bank statements. I'd always been good with numbers. It's what paid the bills, built my career, kept me sane, but this was different. This wasn't problem solving. This was excavating. Column by column, row by row, I reconstructed Jake's history of emergencies. $400 for a textbook he desperately needed. $10,200 for a car repair. $6,000 for a business investment. Another $3,000 for rent so he wouldn't get evicted. $7,000 for travel for a mentorship conference. Dozens more. By the time I finished the final line, the number at the bottom glowed up at me like a verdict. $73,000. $73,000 I had given him. $73,000 he never mentioned again. $73,000 I had convinced myself was helping family. My throat tightened, not with sadness, something colder, a dawning sense of just how long I'd been playing the fool. I remembered every conversation. "You're the best sister. I swear I'll pay you back soon. As soon as this business takes off, Arden, I'll make it right." Every time he said it, I wanted to believe him. Maybe because believing him was easier than admitting my parents had trained me to sacrifice so he could float. I moved on to his business ventures. 5 projects in 5 years. Every one of them funded by my parents. Every one of them a failure. A smoothie shop that never opened. A clothing line that consisted of 2 hoodies and an Instagram page. A sports podcast studio that recorded exactly 1 episode. A tutoring service he never advertised. a subscription box startup that fell apart after he shipped 2 trial boxes filled with dollar store junk. My parents poured money into each one, calling it supporting his dreams, while my own dreams had been funded by scholarships, late night shifts, and student loans. But the worst part? They hadn't just enabled Jake, they had created him. I pushed through the exhaustion and opened my Facebook messages, scrolling until I found the thread from 3 months ago. Madison, Jake's ex, or one of them. She had messaged me out of nowhere, saying she needed to talk. At the time, I'd skimmed her wall of text, assumed it was breakup drama, and promised to revisit it. I never did. Now I reread it slowly. Every word, every line, every receipt she had attached. Jake had used her credit cards to fund his newest crypto course business. He racked up $40,000 on her cards, then ghosted her when she asked for repayment. She'd filed police reports, but didn't know what else to do. I whispered to the empty room, "Jesus, Jake." Then I noticed something I had missed the first time. In one of the screenshots, the LLC registration paperwork listed a return address. My house, my home. He had used my address without permission to set up a fraudulent business that was already under FTC scrutiny. Suddenly, everything clicked together like a lock turning. This wasn't about a place to live. Jake wasn't looking for temporary housing. He was securing a headquarters. He was planning to run a scam from my home, using my good name to mask his illegitimate business. If he had been caught while using my property as his business address, the blowback wouldn't hit just him. It would hit me, my reputation, my career, my startup shares, detonated by association. And my parents? They were walking through my house, measuring walls, planning this like home invasion was a casual errand. I sat back in my chair as a sharp, clean rage settled into place. I reached out to Madison. She picked up on the second ring, sounding tired, wary, surprised anyone connected to Jake would call her back. "Madison, it's Arden," I said. "I think we need to talk." She came over the next afternoon, small, anxious, with dark circles under her eyes, but determined. We sat at my dining table, the same one I'd soon be using for the family dinner, and compared evidence. My parents' betrayal, Jake's fraud, her credit card statements, the LLC listing. By the time we finished, Madison looked both vindicated and horrified. "He used you too," she whispered. "He uses everyone." I nodded. "Then let's stop letting him." We started planning, not revenge, truth, not chaos, clarity. Saturday would be the reckoning. Saturday arrived with a strange calm. I woke early, opened my blinds, and watched the sun shimmer over the lake outside. The same view that once represented freedom now felt like armor. I cooked a full dinner, roast chicken, mashed potatoes, green beans, my mother's recipes, her rituals, now mine. The table looked beautiful, intimate, deceptively warm. My parents arrived first. Dad gave me a hug like nothing had ever been wrong. Mom kissed my cheek, eyes scanning the house like she was making sure her mental blueprint still matched the walls. "It looks lovely, Arden," she said. There was approval in her tone, approval of the home she planned to give to Jake. Jake arrived 15 minutes late, strutting in like an heir apparent. Designer jacket, expensive sneakers, entitled expression. We talked for 20 minutes about absolutely nothing. The weather, my startup, traffic. My mother complimented the chicken. My father asked about Japan. Jake ate with the focus of someone who has never paid for a meal in his life. Then Mom put her fork down. I knew that move. It was the prelude to an ask. "Arden, honey," she began, "we wanted to talk to you about something." My father cleared his throat. "It's about Jake." Of course it was. "His lease is coming up," Dad continued, "and the rent is going up. We were thinking, you have all this space here, and you travel so much. It just makes sense for Jake to stay here for a while." "Just temporarily," Mom chimed in, trying to look reassuring. Jake stared at me with that